Alhamdulillah, to start off with, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the Hujjaj and the Ummar, the people that go and perform Umrah and Hajj, they are the Wafdullah, they are the guests of God. Da'ahum fa'ajabu. God personally invited them and they accepted. وَسَأَلُوهُ فَأَعْطَاهُم. What does a person go when he does Hajj or Umrah? He goes in making dua, supplication. Whatever they ask God, He grants them it. وَاسْتَغْفَرُوهُ فَغَفَرَ لَهُمْ. They go and ask for forgiveness from God, and God forgives them. This is important to understand. We often hear people say no one goes to perform Umrah or Hajj except that he's been called. That's where they get it from. This is a personal invitation from God. If you're able, or if you've been granted the opportunity to go and perform Umrah or Hajj, know that this is a personal invitation from God. I mean, I personally know many people, some of those who had no intention at all. A month before, weeks before, someone talks to them, you want to go Hajj, Umrah? No, I don't have any plans for it. So suddenly, overnight, it's all sorted out for them and they go. There's other people who've been trying year after year. They've been trying, they've given their paperwork with everyone else. All the family members get it, they don't. It's because the invitation wasn't there yet. Obviously, it's not understood from this that you don't try. Obviously, you try, you do, but ultimately, when the call comes from God, that's when you will go. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you this amazing opportunity, we need to make the most of it. You're going to one of the most sacred places, the sanctuary of God and the house of God. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned in another hadith as well, no one intends to go visit the house of God except every step he takes, a good deed is added into his records, a bad deed is wiped out, and a rank with God, every step he takes is increased. Then he goes, does the tawaf, he does the sa'i bayna Safa wal Marwa, he shaves his head. God forgives him as the day his mother gave birth to him. When you're born, you are sinless. That's how it is. So extremely important to take this into account. One of the most important things is to rectify a person's intentions. Ultimately, you are not going there to buy a thobe or a jalbab or dates or go to a restaurant to eat. Ultimately, you're going for the sake of God. This is important to make your intention. You're going to perform Umrah for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before you leave your door, and you will get the intentions will be counted from there on. Now, there's obviously, when a person goes and performs Hajj or Umrah, there's certain things you need to take into account. There's a physical state and there's a spiritual state. Spiritually is the best way to prepare oneself is before you go, anyone that you owe money to, anyone that you wronged you go and apologize. You can't expect God to accept your pilgrimage if you wronged someone or you owe someone well to do. So this is why the scholars mention that if you owe people money, can you go and perform Umrah, Hajj? They've differed on this. Some have said no. It's better you stay, work, and pay them off. The Hanafi school, it's permissible for a person to go, but it's makruh tahrim. You're sinful still. Unless you go to that person and tell him, say, look, bro, I owe you. I'm going to go do Umrah Hajj. If you're okay with that, forgive me. When I come back, I'll pay you back. Okay, and then, from amongst the things is obviously if you wronged anyone, apologize. If you've cut off ties with family, kinship ties or cousins or things like that, rectify and then after that. In terms of now, we're just going to get into it. How does a person perform Umrah? Okay, so we're gonna go to Riyadh first, and from there we're gonna get into a state of Ihram. It's preferred before a person gets into a state of Ihram, he has a bath first, ghusl. Wash yourself. This is for both brothers and sisters. So before, basically, we're going to be going on Jum'ah, right? Friday. Before you go to the airport, it's sunnah to have a bath, have a ghusl, wash yourself. It's preferred, remove unwanted hair, armpit hair and private parts as well, have a ghusl. Also, it's preferred after you had a ghusl to put some type of perfume on. Men only, obviously, right? Girls are not allowed to wear perfume publicly, so that's men only. When you get to Riyadh, you can wear ihram from home, but we encourage everyone when you get to Riyadh, that's where we're gonna get into a ihram. Now, men are supposed to buy ihram garments. They're just two pieces of cloth, upper garment and a lower one. When you get to Riyadh, obviously there's toilets there and whatnot. You can go there and you're meant to get changed. Now, men are not allowed to wear stitched clothes at all. Girls are allowed to, men can't. Okay, so that means basically you can't wear anything, underwear or anything, right? So you first put the lower garment on, and then you put the upper garment on. The lower garment has to be above the belly button. Okay, it's not hard at all. I'll try just demonstrating all the brothers. This obviously only applies to the brothers only, right? So it would be something like this. Okay, the lower garment, and you just basically wrap that around, and you just tighten it. The more you wrap that, the more it gets tightened. Don't have it above this bit. The knee, right? It can be midway up, or it could be a bit lower as well. But that's it. If you think it's going to fall off, you just get a belt, tie a belt, right? That's what you can do. Just make sure the belt isn't made out of leather, like pig leather, right? But other than that, it's okay. That's going to be your lower garment. You're not allowed to wear underwear. Okay, and then the upper garment is quite straightforward. It is. You just got okay. No one try acting like Rambo or Superman with your arms out, or just it's makruh to just walk around like that. I know some of you get hot and you think, look, I've got a six pack and hench and everything, but no. That's not, it's not, the sunnah is not to uncover, it's to actually cover yourself. There's only one instance where you're just going to expose your right shoulder. Every other time, you actually got yourself. Now, if it does become exposed, obviously your belly button's covered anyways. because anything lower than that is problematic here. So you just cover yourself like that. So no clothes on, yeah. Now, by putting on the garments, have you entered into a state of ihram? No. This is important to understand. Just by putting the garments on, you have not entered into a state of ihram. That's only the start. It's preferred to pray two nafil after that. They call sunnatul ihram. Okay, so you perform two nafil, and once you've performed them, you make the intention. Okay, there's I think on the chat group, right, this book's being recommended to everyone. I don't know if everyone's got a copy of it. It's an excellent book. Highly recommend it. Sheikh Nuruddin, Syrian scholar, he was one of the big scholars. We were fortunate enough to have studied with him. It comes with a little book as well with supplications. I think if you look at page 35, those of you who have the book, the intention is on page 35. It is, oh God, I intend Umrah, so facilitate it and accept it. Okay, that's the intention. It's there. The moment you've made the intention, straight after that, you say, Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. It's preferred to say it three times it is. Okay, second time, third time. Now, officially, you have entered into a state of ihram. Okay, now when the person enters into state of ihram, there's a lot of things he needs to be extremely careful of. Okay, now for the sisters, right? They don't have specific garments that they have to put on, as long as it's obviously covering them, right? The only thing they're allowed to expose is the face. And when we're talking about the face, very specific here, is from the forehead to the chin is. And then the face, not including the ear. So everything else has to be covered. Arms have to be covered as well. Hands can be uncovered. The feet have to be covered. There's a difference of opinion on the feet, but our teachers go with the opinion that the feet have to be covered. Inside of prayer and outside of prayer, you will find differences. Some scholars say no, the feet don't have to be covered, right? They can obviously wear stitched clothes, right? So they just wear their normal jilbabs or abayas, hijabs as well. They can wear socks. Men obviously can't. They can wear trainers or whatever. We can't. We can't. The only footwear that we can wear is flip-flops. Is that what it's called? Those bathroom slippers, I'll call them, right? But yeah, I think they're called flip-flops. Cheap ones with the two, everyone knows what I'm talking about anyways. Those are the only footwear that you can wear in Ihram. Okay, once you enter into a state of Ihram, you can't wear perfume after that. Now, a accepted Umrah or Hajj is one where you do not commit an offensive acting, something that you're not going to end up paying some type of expiation. So now, if you wear perfume, you have to go and pay now. There's a certain amount that we'll discuss. You have to go give that in charity. So an accepted Hajj Umrah is one where you don't pay, as in you don't do anything where you have to pay, and you don't obviously swear or commit any sinful acts. So perfume is actually a big issue because most of the soaps are perfumed, right? Obviously, people have to go to the bathroom, right? The hand wash is all perfumed, the soaps are perfumed, moisturizers and creams and all of that, they all got perfume in it. So if you end up putting that on, you committed an offense and then you're gonna have to pay. So all of that you have to take into account. I know some people find this extremely difficult. I'm gonna go to the toilet, my hands are gonna be dirty. Some people suffer from OCD, right? But for the time that you're in Ihram, you can't. Okay, so this is extremely important. Face, what, La ilaha illallah. Hand wipes as well. Girls often have them, right? But if you're taking children, the nappy wipes or whatever, they're perfumed as well. So if you have to clean your child or anything, you have to make sure you either got a glove on your hand, then you're touching it. Because if you touch it, that's you have to give charity. So perfume's a big issue. Hair is a big issue as well. You can't cut hair. You can't start there playing with your hair, start pulling it out. I know some people have these bad habits, right? But if your hair comes out, there's penalty. You have to pay. Now, if someone's got the attitude, so I'll pay. That's okay. You can pay, but is your Umrah going to be accepted? No, it's not. Because if you intentionally do something which constitutes a fine, the scholars mentioned that Umrah is not accepted. So you have to be extremely careful about that. Hair, so you can't trim hair or cut hair or pluck hair. Now, if you're washing your face and hair just happens to come out, that's not a problem. As long as you're not doing extremely hard where normally it wouldn't have come out, but because you're rubbing it so hard, hairs come out. Okay, also fingernails as well. Some people have this bad habit, they just sit down and start eating their own fingernail. If you're hungry, just eat something, right? But as in, La ilaha illallah. So fingernails, for each finger, you have to give charity. So if one finger is not enough, tamam. So all these things are important as well. For girls, it's sisters, important to understand. Sanitary pads all are perfumed. So I personally don't think they should have it on at all, but in the discussion with the scholars, they said if you wear it before Ihram, it's okay. But if you wear it while you're in a state of Ihram, no, it's going to necessitate a penalty. Okay, so if you have it on before until after you complete your Umrah and you come out, that's okay. But if you put it on while you're in Ihram, you have to give charity. Oils are a big problem as well. Olive oil or hair oil or even cooking oil. Oil on your hands constitutes a penalty as well. Now, I don't know, I'm just thinking, right? If a person went and had breakfast, like he's in Ihram, you stopped off in Riyadh, hungry, you went and had breakfast. If you had hummus with olive oil in it, that's a big problem. Either you have to eat with a spoon, make sure it doesn't get into your hands. So these things are important. Obviously, also sinful actions. Now, sinful actions are wrong regardless, right? But especially when you're in a state of ihram and you're going to the house of God, a sinful act there is obviously multiplied, like the punishment. Likewise, a good act is multiplied as well. Sayyidina Abdullah bin Abbas went and lived in Ta'if. Someone said to him, Makkah's over there, and you actually went to Ta'if. They're next to each other, but he said, I'm scared committing one. He said it's better I commit 70 sinful acts in Ta'if than one sinful act in Makkah. Makkah is obviously the sanctuary of God and is the sacred sanctuary. Ta'if was outside of that. He said, God punishes you just for making an intention to commit bad actions here. Not that you have to actually commit it. Just making the intention. La ilaha illallah. He also said one good act in the Haram equates to 100,000. One good act in the Haram equates to 100,000. And then he said it's 1,000,000 good deeds if you do it in the actual masjid. Someone said to me, how do I give charity while I'm in the masjid? Because I want to get 1,000,000 good deeds. Also, as long as you have Wi-Fi, you're in the masjid, give some charity to some from the masjid, right? So possible. La ilaha illallah. So when we get to Riyadh, that's when everyone's gonna come out and get into prepare to get into Ihram. Now, it's possible that when we sit back on the plane, they might make an announcement because the important thing is you have to be in Ihram before you cross a certain point. It's possible they're going to make an announcement and say, we're about to get there, people that want to get into Ihram, get into it. I don't encourage that, okay? Because it's better before you get onto the plane, you make your intention. Some people get on the plane, they start talking to each other, they don't hear. Some people end up falling asleep, some people are in the toilet, they don't, so it's better just before we're about to board from Riyadh to Jeddah, make the intention there, then get on. Now, as I think I heard him mention that we're going to go and do Umrah straight away here. So hopefully once we get off, obviously we can go to the hotel first and unpack, wait for Habib to come, and then we're going to go and perform the Umrah. When we get there, one of the best things that a person can occupy himself is the talbiyah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika lak, labbaik. That's probably one of the best things that you could keep on repeating. For men, it's sunnah to do it loudly. Obviously, for the sisters, they do it quietly. No, this is once in a lifetime opportunity. Maybe you might not be able to go again. Don't spend that time on your phones or talking to people, especially if it's of not benefit. Engage in the remembrance of God. Now, once we get there, when we get to obviously we're going to go and depending on the logistics of things, right? We're going to go, the first thing you do is the tawaf. Now, they mentioned the first time you go and gaze upon the Kaaba, your du'as are accepted at that time. Personally, what I would encourage everyone is before going and looking at the Kaaba, right? If you can go somewhere where you're not on people's way, that's probably better. You're going there in hall, your hands, you're crying, and then the God comes and just sweeps you off your feet, it does. So it's better going somewhere where you're not there where people are trying to get in and out. Go on this side a bit, then start looking at the Kaaba, making dua, or you can start making the dua while you're walking there towards the Kaaba, and then get maybe on the left or right, and then you can start making your du'as. It's important to make du'as because that is, they mentioned that's one of the times du'as accepted. One of the scholars was asked, what du'a shall I make when I first gaze upon the Kaaba? Accepted, right? He said, make du'as that from now on, every du'a you make is accepted. So some people call that trick, right? It's not. There's no tricks with God. Okay, that's the mercy of God. He's going to accept it. Good way. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go towards the Kaaba. We're going to look out for the black stone. Okay, now at this point, when you're walking towards the black stone, this is when you start cutting off your talbiyah. No more labbaik Allahumma labbaik. That's when it cuts off. What the men are supposed to do now is, as we mentioned, right, they have the Ihram. Okay, so they're going to have the Ihram on. All they do is expose the right arm. Just like that. The right arm will be exposed. Okay, this is to be kept like this until you complete it. Once you complete the tawaf off, you're just going to take it back normal and cover. And then you're going to pray after that. Obviously, they're not going to let you take slippers into the masjid. So before you get in, you're just going to have to either pick them up. If you got carry a bag with you, put it in there. If you want to put it somewhere. So they're not going to let you take that. So you have to take that into account. Slippers, trainers, girls have whatever. They're not going to let you. So you're going to have to put that in some type of bag. So yeah, first thing you go and you look out for the black stone. Habib's going to be there. Hopefully we're going to be there behind him, right? Now, the way you do it is your right shoulder has to be in line with the black stone. Now, once upon a time, very long time ago, right? When you get there, where the Kaaba is, there used to be a brown line on the ground. So, because it just gets quite difficult. There's people everywhere. You don't know. Some people are doing it here, some people are doing this, some people are over there. Once upon a time, they had that. The brown line was there. You just put your foot on that. You know 100% that you're there. I don't know. Some clever person thought it's bid'ah and they took it out. So now, obviously, people are doing their own ijtihad, right? So there's not much you could do about that. You just guess. Obviously, it's at a corner, right? So you just kind of guess where it is. Your right shoulder has to be in line with it. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. You're not going to get a chance to even go anywhere close near the Kaaba. Normally, what like the best scenario is you're there. The black stone, you're meant to actually touch it. You're meant to put your hands on it. You're meant to kiss it. Put your forehead on it, and then go. That's not going to happen. Now, we don't encourage people to start punching and pushing everyone and getting there and thinking they're doing some good deed there. Harming someone, haram. You're doing it in the masjid and on Umrah as well. So it's better not to. Secondly, the Kaaba is covered with perfume. So even after all of that, you're going to end up paying a fine in the end as well. So it counts still from four. There's times that the person touched it. There's times where he never, because there's a lot of people there. He did it from four and then started. Okay, so du'as are all mentioned here. I'm not going to really focus on them too much because if you haven't memorized them, if you got a book on you, that's good. But the absolute minimum, Bismillah Allahu Akbar. Okay, that's the absolute minimum, like this. Bismillah Allahu Akbar. Kiss your hands. Then after that, you go your left shoulders facing the Kaaba now. Okay, and that's it. You start. That's how you start doing your tawaf. Many of you know the Kaaba. There's a semi-circular bit next to it. It's called the Hatim, right? Don't try cutting into that. There's no shortcuts here. Yeah? You just go around that and come back. Completing off one, you have to do 7 in total, right? So once you go all the way around, come back to the black stone, that's counted as. Funny is you do that 7 times. A person is, you can talk, but it's not preferred to. Okay, and it's definitely not preferred to be taking selfies. Bro, check me out in front of the Kaaba. No. Focus on your relationship with God. You're there in front of God. You're at His house. The doors are answered. Don't be looking left and right. What is he doing or she? He's pushing him. No. You just focus on yourself. Do your du'as. If you don't know, good book to have. If you memorize Quran, is preferred to be reciting that until you come back. Now, just before the black stone, the Yemeni corner is there. Okay, so there's obviously 4, right? It's a square. So just before the black stone, there's the corner that comes before. You'll notice that's exposed. Okay, there's a bit that you can't touch. A lot of people don't touch that. You could possibly go and touch that. Again, we don't encourage it. Why? Because they put perfume on it. So if you touch it, you're going to get perfume on your hands. But it is preferred to look at it and say, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Okay, the Prophet mentioned that there's 70,000 angels just on that corner. In one narration, Sayyidina Jibreel was there. Any dua that you make at that corner while you're going past, all of those 70,000 make that dua as well. So it's a blessed corner, don't touch it. Once you come back around, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, that's counted as 1, 2, 3, and you just complete off. Men are meant to be running in the first 3, right? Again, I don't think that's going to be possible. The way they're talking about it, this Umrah right now is meant to be more busier than Hajj. So I don't think you're going to get a chance to, right? I would probably encourage the sisters stick with each other, even if there's 2 of them, because there's no guarantee. There's just no guarantee. We could end up in front, they could end up in front, we could end up behind. Whatnot. So as long as 2, 3 of them kind of just arm lock each other, and they'll just stay with each other. What the Turks do, and I think the Pakistani Madnila as well, mashallah, God bless, they put the women in the center and the men like encircular them. They have a rope or something so they don't all get lost and whatnot, but they travel in the thousands. So once you complete that off, you have to pray 2 rak'at after that. Okay, they call like people refer to them as nafal of tawaf, right? After every tawaf is an absolute essential that you must pray those. The best place to pray is at the maqam of Ibrahim. You'll notice there's a gold top of enclosure with a dome on it. The best place is there. Pray there. If you get a chance to. If the gods are beating you up or they don't let people do it, just go pray anywhere at the back. Once you've done that, You have to drink Zamzam after that. Now, there was a time when I was, I don't know, maybe 4 years old, right? The well of Zamzam was actually there. We would go downstairs and we would actually notice it there. You could drink it. Again, they've covered that now. So you'll just come across these big water tanks everywhere, Zamzam. Zamzam, whatever intention you have, God fulfills it. Okay, so you're meant to drink, literally, the Prophet told us, you drink Zamzam until you're about to explode. Okay, and that's the preferred way of doing it. Don't just say, oh, the intention I have pious children, take a little sip, or, or get Jannah. They mentioned an incident that happened with 4 of the companions. They were all next to the Kaaba, and they said, look, Zamzam's there, right? Let's all make an intention. Let's all drink it with the intention. The first one said, I make the intention that I become mayor of Makkah. Okay, so he made that. The other one said, I make the intention I become mayor of Basra. It's I think in modern day Iraq or Afghanistan. The other one said, I make the intention I become the mayor of Medina. The last one said, forget the dunya, mate. I'll make the intention that I don't get thirsty on the day of judgment. So he drank it with that intention. A couple of years later, the first one became mayor of Makkah, the second one became mayor of Basra, the third one became mayor of Medina. The fourth one, we're not going to find that yet, but if their intentions were fulfilled, inshallah, his intention was fulfilled as well. So you can make all types of intentions. Of the intention by drinking this, God quenches my thirst on the day of judgment, forgives me, allows me to have istiqamah, to pray 5 times a day from now on. Whatever intention, pious husband, pious spouses, children, whatever. Okay, all these intentions, but once you made the intentions, you're meant to drink and drink and drink after that until you can't take it anymore. So once you're done, now we're going to go towards the mountain of Safa Marwa. It's not too far, obviously, but we're no longer going to be next to the Kaaba. We're going to go Safa Marwa. We get to the hill of Safa, we're going to look towards the Kaaba. From there, you'll notice it. Again, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, and now you start making dua. This is where du'as are answered as well. So you take your time, you make the dua. Once you're done, you walk towards Marwa. Now, halfway going down, you're going to notice there's green lights that come up. So there's a green light, then after a short distance, there's another one. Men are supposed to jog at that point, not the girls, men only, okay? So you're meant to do like a light sprint. Okay, from the first green light to the second one, then stop, normal pace after that. Once you go towards Marwa, you look towards the Kaaba, you're not going to be able to see it because it's covered, but you face the direction. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, raise your hands, dua again. Come down to Safa, green light, sprint. Safa, you look at the Kaaba, again, it's like that. 7 times. Once you've completed that, the last thing left is in your henna. Okay, for the guys, it's highly, highly, highly recommended to take off all the hair. The Prophet ﷺ made dua 3 times. May God forgive the one who shaves his hair. May God forgive the one who shaves his hair. May God forgive the one who shaves his hair. They go, Ya Rasulullah, what about the one who trims his hair? They go, may God forgive him as well. For not shaving his hair. That's my insertion there, right? So it's preferred, if you want the forgiveness of the Prophet ﷺ, the du'as of the Prophet accepted, right? You know, don't think too much about it. Hair will come back, it's not going anywhere, so just shave your heads. The sisters just cut a tiny bit. Don't shave your heads, okay? They just cut a tiny bit. The amount they're meant to cut is just that much. A fingernail, or if you look at your finger, can you see the first line comes, right? That's how much you cut. Now, obviously, because the girls are covering, you don't start on covering them in front of everyone and cutting it. Either go back to your hotel rooms and cut it, or if you can somehow get the, like, if you go under your scarf, you can just cut that tiny bit off. It's important, someone in Ihram cannot cut another person's hair. So if you're going to get another girl to cut your hair, make sure she comes out of it first and then cuts your hair. She can't cut your hair and then cut hers. It's important she cuts hers first and then yours. If she does that, there's going to be a penalty. So it's important you should cut her hair first and then after that cut your hair. For the guys, this is extremely important, right? The barbers, what they tend to do, a lot of them are from the subcontinent, right? So if you know Urdu or whatever language they speak, it's good to talk to them. So what they do is when you want to get your haircut, you'll notice this. The moment you come out, they're all there, haircut, 10 riyal, bismillah, come, and you know, they take, you think it's there and they end up taking you 20 minutes away, right? But the point is, when they cut your hair, just before you're about to come out of Ihram, they put basically perfume on your head. So moments before you're thinking, Alhamdulillah, that's it, I'm done. I didn't touch perfume, I didn't cut my hair, anything like that. He's getting Head and Shoulders or Pantene Pro V or something. He starts rubbing into your head and then he shaves it off. So it's important you tell him don't. You don't, because a lot of their water sprays, it has either some shampoo in it. So it's important just before you have to cut your head off, tell him don't. You don't want any of them, okay? So, because that would necessitate penalty, it would, so important to take that into account. That's basically it. That's how a person performs Umrah. Again, we encourage everyone, since, like, if you're normally not covering, obviously while you're going on Umrah, it's important you cover. We don't encourage makeup. Obviously, makeup is obviously haram anyways, but especially when you're going on Umrah, to take that into account, not to wear things like that. The brothers sometimes have bags on them as well. Just make sure it's not pig leather or anything like that. That's your Umrah done, it is. And if a person wants to perform tawaf without performing Umrah, you can come in your normal clothes. You just go to the black stone, make the intention of doing a nafal tawaf, Bismillah, Allah Akbar, and then that's it, stop. At the end of it, when you complete it, you have to pray those two nafal we're talking about, that's it. If a person wants to do multiple umrahs, you have to go to a masjid called Masjid Aisha. So you're going to have to get a taxi. You can talk to Majid about it, but it's just outside the Haram, not too far from our hotel. You have to get a taxi, go there. If any of the men want to go, you have to basically wear the Ihram garments again. Go all the way there, do two nafal, make the intention again. I intend to perform Umrah for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, and that's it. You come back and just say Ihram, get the taxi to bring you back, go to the tawaf area, start there. That's a quick summary of how to perform Umrah. It's important to know as well, when we get to Heathrow Airport, we're going to be travelers. So that means the 4 fard that we normally pray is going to turn to 2 fard. So Dhuhr is going to be 2, Asr is going to be 2, Isha is going to be 2, Maghrib is going to be 1.5? Yeah. 3, yeah. That's no. That's about it. If anyone's got any questions.
Is it permissible to wear normal sandals? Because I did Umrah about 10 years ago. The flip flops was quite hard to walk. There's some confusion about which part of the foot needs to be covered.
In the Hanafi school, the only sandals a person can wear, I'll try finding a picture of it. It's important to understand, right? Ihram isn't meant to be that long. Like as in 6 hours, maximum 10 hours. Then after that, you can do what you want. Even though certain things, because there is a type of difficulty in it, right? But it's not long term, and difficulty for the sake of God, and in Makkah as well, obviously the reward is multiplied. These are the type of slippers, flip-flops only. A person cannot wear that. Sliders, yeah. I don't know if this is clear. I mean, this doesn't affect the girls anyways, right? They don't have to, they can wear, okay, this isn't clear at all. So these are the only ones. I can't answer 100% on the Maliki school. Shafi school, it has to be like that as well. Hanbalis, I'm pretty sure it has to be that as well. So it is a bit uncomfortable, but then you have to think about when you're going to the masjid, they're not going to let you wear anything anyways. So you're going to be barefoot most of the time. You definitely can't wear sliders. So you've just got the questions here. What if you are performing Umrah on behalf of someone else? This is good. If you are performing on behalf of someone else, it counts. Not only does that person benefit from it, you also get the full reward of it as well. There's 2 ways of doing it. Either you can say beforehand, I intend to perform this Umrah on behalf of, right? Your dad, your mom, your brother, your sister, whatever. The moment you intend it, then say labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Or you can perform it on your behalf, like the way we explained. At the end of it, just make dua and said, oh Allah, the reward of this Umrah, send it to the soul of so and so, donate the reward of it to so and so. This is definitely permissible in all schools. Hanafis and Hanbalis say you can even donate the reward of a good action to someone who's not even passed away. But the other schools, they say it has to be to someone who's passed away. When women do the ghusl, should they be using non-perfumed products? No. When you're doing ghusl, it's okay. What's it called? shampoo, shower gels, all of that, that's okay. It's you more so, I'm talking about more so like on top of your clothes. You can wear it underneath your clothes, right? But it's on top of your clothes. You shouldn't also be leaving home very early. As we're leaving home very early, could we do ghusl on the night before? Yeah, you can. I mean, is the closer to the time of Ihram is better. But yeah, technically speaking, we can. Can a male or female carry a child in a carrier attached onto you? Yes, this is jaiz. Just make sure there's nothing perfumed on it. This is okay. You know, like sometimes you have this carrier, or it's like this backpack almost, right, with the child on it. That's all right. During tawaf, not sure if child has. Yes. If the child wets himself or has a soiled nappy or anything, you can carry them still, as long as the najas hasn't come onto your clothes. The women cutting hair after finishing sa'i, can another woman who's still in ihram cut hair? No, no. Sorry, I'll come back to that. How do I? Are you sure? Can is says over here. Can another? What we say? The last question was cutting hair. We mentioned this, right? A sister who's going to get another one to cut hair for her, you have to make sure she's cut hers first. She has to come out ihram first, and then she can cut your hair. If she cuts your hair first, she needs to pay a penalty. Sorry, do you need to go up each hill, or can I remain on the flat land? Okay, those who are going in those, elderly people, if you're like pushing them, nowadays they've got these electrical pretty much cars or wheelchairs, right? They pretty much take you to the foot of the mountain anyways. So you don't have to go all the way up. But the way it's designed now is you're pretty much at the foot of it anyway. So yeah, you don't have to go all the way up there. Umrah for those who are passed away, can I do one Umrah for a group of people passed away, or is it just one person's? Excellent question. Our scholars have mentioned this. There's two opinions. They mention if you send the reward of a Fatiha, a lot of us do this, right? Especially when you go to graveyards or things like this. If you're donating the reward of a Fatiha to someone who's passed away, if you're doing it for multiple people, so you're saying, I donate the reward of the Fatiha to my mother, my father, my grandparents, a lot of them, right? Do they all individually get the reward of the Fatiha, or is it basically percentage, right? There's 10 of them, so it's a certain percentage each. The scholars have differed. Some have gone with this, some have gone with that. Ibn Abidin, who's a big authority in the Hanafi school, says the opinion that's more in line with the mercy of God is that each one of them get the full reward of the Fatiha. So here, if you're doing it for a group of people, that's the opinion we go with, that they're all going to get the reward of the Umrah. Can I break out of my tawaf? Why would you want to do that for? Okay, if you want to break out your tawaf, maybe what's meant is, can you step away and then come back? If that's what's meant, yes, like if it's a valid excuse, is prayer time now, right? You're doing tawaf is prayer time. Obviously, go and pray. Once you're done, come back to where you left off. Okay, and then carry on. Or if you got a child and you have to go out for a bit, come back in, that's okay. As for if you just want to run back to the hotel and sleep, no. You can't just break out of it. You have to complete your first. If you do run back to the hotel, you're tired, God knows, breakfast, you're not going to get in time for breakfast, you quickly want to have a bite, come back, you're going to have to come back and continue. So you can't completely break off. How much is the penalty roughly? This is quite a complicated question because this all depends on where you're going to be paying. Okay, it's roughly 3 kgs of dates. Raisins, dates, or barley, 3 kg. So if you're paying in this country, you just go to the supermarket or whatever, find out how much is 3 kg. Roughly, how much is it? £20? Yeah, if it's £7 a kg, that's £21. So if you're paying in Mecca, you'll go and find out. You know, maybe it's £10, £5. So this isn't as straightforward. You don't have to pay in Mecca. You can pay, is better to. You can pay in Medina, you can give it in Pakistan or the subcontinent, you can give it in Palestine, you can give it wherever you want. You just have to find out the cost of it. It doesn't have to be given in the dates, obviously. It can be pounds or dollars, but you just have to find out. Now that they've increased the size for Sa'i, is it permissible to go around, or do we need to refrain from the extension as this falls outside the boundary? Most of the scholars say it's okay. Most of the scholars in the 4 schools say it's okay to go in the extension area. This person, obviously, mashallah, they know there's been an expansion in the masjid. The original Sa'i area between Safa and Marwa, it's been expanded. When they first expanded it, a lot of the scholars had a big problem with it. They said, no, you've gone outside of the boundary. But that was when they first started. Now most of the 4 schools have gone with the opinion it's okay to do the Sa'i there. That's what we act upon as well. Someone's asking, what if there's oil on the floor and you step on it? Kafara. Whether it's done accidentally, like, I'm not putting bad thoughts in people's heads, right? If the guy next to you is asleep and you take out perfume and start spraying him, he needs to pay kafara. So, yeah, don't be doing pranks like that, okay? You're going Umrah, you're be on your best behavior. How do I check? Okay, I think I've generally been teaching the Hanafi school. Someone's asking, is he teaching Hanafi? I've been generally giving the opinions of the Hanafi school. I've studied Shafi school as well, but generally speaking, Hanafi school. Just to emphasize again, it's preferred for men to put perfume on before they go into Ihram. Okay, it's preferred to put it on your body and not to put it on your clothes. Oh, also extremely important as well, right? A person's clothes should not be smelling excessively of perfume. So, like, you know, like nowadays these fabrics softeners like Comfort, right? You take them out for 3 days, mashallah, it has strong smell. Your Ihram clothes, make sure is not to that extent. If you have to wash it, either wash it 5 days before so the smell comes out. I'm not that adept with the MacBook, right? Anyone know how to do this? Where's the thing to take that? What do you think is? Sorry, yeah. If your ablution breaks while doing tawaf, right? This is a good question. You have to be in a state of tahara. Okay, so if it breaks, you just go do it again, come back where you left off. I'm surprised sisters have asked if sisters' menses starts, right? What do they do? Because this is a big problem. Okay, in the Hanafi school is actually quite difficult. This is why we founded dispensation we have, because if a girl starts off on her menses and goes to do Umrah, technically speaking, she's going to have to do her Ihram and stay in the hotel. Whether she sat there for 5 days or 10, right, which is extremely hard. She can't go to the masjid. She can't do tawaf. So, 10 days or 9 days or 8 days without touching soap, or things like that can be quite hard, right? So the way out of it for her, the dispensation we found from the muftis, is she makes intention to go and stay outside of the haram. I know a lot of this probably not going to make sense, right? Because you're thinking, no, but I'm going to go to a hotel in the haram, right? That's not what we're talking about here. We're just saying you just make the intention you're going to go and live outside of the haram. That's all. You just make the intention. You don't have to go in the state of ihram. Once they take you into the haram, whenever your menses are complete, obviously you don't have a ghusl. Then, if you got family or something, we'll talk to OCC, right? But you have to go to Masjid Aisha. Go to Masjid Aisha to Nafal, get into Ihram, and then come and perform it. That's the only way out of it. Otherwise, if you're going to actually strictly act on the Hanafi school, it's possible we're all going to be in Medina and you're going to be in Makkah still. So that's probably the best way out of it. Does one penalty cover multiple offenses, or do we pay for each offense? No, one penalty does not cover it. Okay, one penalty does not cover it. I don't know if there was questions before this part. ilaha illallah. I think that's all the fiqh questions are. Can men wear stitched Sandals, yes, you can, as long as they flip-flops. If a woman gets discharged while doing tawaf, this nullifies her ablution. Not necessarily, not in the Hanafi school. If it's clear discharge, it's perfectly okay. As for if it's discharged with a color, smell, then it breaks. Yeah, if it's discharged with a color, smell, then it breaks it. Then she's gonna have to go do a ablution again and come. Does she have to pay expiation? No, obviously not for discharge. Should she wear a kursuf? She can. Is makruh for a non-married girl to wear a kursuf. For those of you who don't know what kursuf is like the equivalent of a tampon. It's not a tampon, but it's like the equivalent. So what if you start your menses while you're there, like second or third day? Then inshallah, minimum you'll be able to perform your Umrah, right? Well, then after that, you can come and sit in the courtyard of the masjid. You can look from the courtyard to the Kaaba. You can just sit there if you're with children or whatever. You could just sit there, recite awrad. You can't recite Quran though. Okay, but you can recite like 1,000 times or 10,000 times La ilaha illallah, 10,000 times subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, 10,000 times salutation of Prophet Sallallahu. Maybe get a book with you, you know, going through some Islamic books, but you can't go into the masjid. That's haram. That's something you definitely can't do. Will it be possible for men and women to do nafal tawaf near the Kaaba this year? Far-fetched. They're quite strict. They only let men with Ihram clothes go in. Now, if you want to be a bit cheeky about it, you can just wear the clothes, but you're not in Ihram. Why not? Like, as in, you're not. It's not deception when you're trying to get in the masjid and worship God. Like at the end of the day, people have been doing it for centuries. Suddenly now they put all these barriers on. You have to book God knows what. They don't let you in. There's nothing wrong about that. You can just, men can wear, obviously you're not going into Ihram, so you can wear 3/4 underneath, then your clothes and just go in, you know, they're going to think you're doing Umrah, but you're just going to go do Tawaf. Girls are okay because they don't have too much of an issue. They're not going to check them. They don't know if they're in Ihram or not. There's another question for sisters that are wearing niqab. They have to make sure the face, the actual niqab covering doesn't touch the skin. Okay, so if you got like a baseball cap on and then you've got something in front, make sure it doesn't touch the skin. You can do tawaf in the masjid on the first floor, the second floor. That's also possible from upstairs on the first floor. You're just in line with the flagstone again, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, then you stop. It's going to be a lot more longer, but it's possible. If a non-baligh child breaks his wudu or doesn't fulfill all requirements for Umrah, what do you do? It's not too much of an issue. A non-baligh child, it depends on what's meant by this. If he's 7 or above, you try getting him to perform it properly. A discerning child, 7 years old, 8 years old, make sure he gets into it properly, get him to do the intention and the talbiyah, bring him around and everything right. A non-discerning child is all barakah anyways. Like, technically speaking, he is not actually performing it. Someone said, well, what if you're already bald? How do you shave your head? Good question. You just get the blade and just pass it over your head. Okay, it has to be enough of your head. Were you to have hair, it would be this much. So if you just get it and just do it like that. We'll be doing ziyaras together, yes. Inshallah, we'll be doing all of that. There's be translation out there. Should women wear jewelry? This is a good question. It's between fiqh and spirituality, right? From a fiqh point of view, it's okay. It's not gonna invalidate your Umrah. But in terms of spiritually speaking, you're going to the house of God. The whole point is why we wear Ihram for is you can't differentiate between a king and a pauper. You're all equal in the sight of God. But if some girl rocks up bling bling and she's got all her gold out, you're not making more of a fashion statement than actually going to do Umrah. So, okay, I don't know now if these are new questions or old ones. This thing. If anyone's got questions, I guess you can ask on the Umrah group because everyone seems tired now. Can you take medication to stop your menses? I would not encourage that at all. If someone were to, they can, I would encourage it. Generally speaking, I don't, from our teachers as well, they don't encourage it. I've spoken to Habib Umar about it personally. He said he doesn't encourage it. So if you want to, you can. I know a lot of girls who tried. They've taken medication. Unfortunately, the opposite has happened. The menses come earlier. Most of them are bleeding the whole time there. Medication's not good. Even a lot of these sanitary pads as well, they've got chemicals in it. You should go with more organic, natural options. So I don't encourage that. Can you use soap and shampoo while doing ghusl? Yeah, we mentioned this. The first time only. Once you're in Ihram, you can't. Okay, so extremely important. Stay away from perfume or cutting your fingernails or your hair, oils, things like this when you're in a state of Ihram. We'll stop there, inshallah. If anyone's got any other question.
So pouch, we're allowed to wear a pouch, or just keep it.
Yeah, yeah. You can have a little bag on you. Yeah, like that type of bag, these little pouch bags, your passport in it, money and stuff like that. Just make sure it's not made from pig. There's a lot of things nowadays, belts and leather bags now, they're made out of pig there. It's not difficult to find out. You just have to go onto the internet, know where you're buying it from. A lot of the time, it actually states it there. Anything other than pig in the Hanafi school is snake leather, lion leather, leopard, whatever. Everything is okay. We'll stop there, okay? I don't even know where the questions have gone here because it's all done is started all over again. So
we use the time.
oh, okay, just
Okay,
yeah. Yeah, I think we'll stop there. I'll get on the WhatsApp group if anyone has questions they will ask. They obviously will be will be accompanying everyone as well. So if anyone's got questions while they're out there as well, inshallah. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi sallam. Fatiha nasrul basadin da afsat umrah qandu opening انظر لنا وأن في خلاف الفاتحة إلى حضرة النبي فاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين.